So,
You said you're based in Oakland?
mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
San Francisco. San Francisco.
Have you done work with have you ever done any doc work with Pete Nix?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked a
Okay.
little bit on the police one and on the
Yeah.
hospital. I was in, yeah, the hospital waiting room thing.
Yeah,
A little bit.
that was the first film of his I watched. And
Yeah.
you could tell pretty quickly the kind of films that he was interested in making, and he of course has continued to do that. And a talented dude, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're really, here in the Bay Area, we're very
There's a
blessed.
community. Yeah.
We're really blessed with a great community here. And so
Yeah, in fact there's another gentleman who is a he's a post sound guy, and why am I forgetting the name? Let me look here real quick.
Jim Lebrecht or
Yes,
Mark
yeah, James
Garrett.
Lebrecht, exactly. Jim's going to be he's I recorded with him, so he'll be on an upcoming episode.
Oh, great. Yeah, I worked on Crip Camp, and I worked with
Oh,
Jim
you did?
over
Okay.
the years on many things. So
Yeah.
many common projects.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's a few of us here. I wanna thank you guys for joining us. I recognize a couple of faces. Stephen Kaiser actually is in our mastermind group, so I'm glad that Stephen can join us. And Scott Campbell, I recognize Scott because Scott has been a listener of the program, I mean, since the very early days. Hi, Scott. It's nice to see you, man.
Hey Chris, good to see you and hear you. And yeah, big fan of TDL.
That's right.
Um,
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And of
It was
course,
great.
we're all doc filmmakers here.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do, what would be interesting to me is if we could maybe if we could go around the room for a little bit. I'd love to hear a big part of the reason why I'm trying to do this monthly, why I put this together is it gives me an opportunity to get a little bit closer to um, um, well, so 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 the podcast is a way to sort of connect with doc filmmakers sort of globally, but it's sort of casting the net very wide, and it's very one-sided. It's my voice and the guest's voice reaching you guys, right? Reaching doc filmmakers around the world. But something like the mastermind group, and then this, conversation group, it allows me the opportunity to meet a little bit more directly with doc filmmakers, which is something that I don't know is near and dear to my heart because it allows me an opportunity to learn sort of what other projects people are working on to get some idea. In this case, I guess with this conversation group, if this expands or as it continues to expand, hopefully, it allows me the opportunity not only to get to understand the projects that you guys are producing, but it also can, I guess, in a way, form as a focus group. It can inform me on what it is that is best helpful to you in terms of what guests you'd like to see on the program, what information is resonating with you, kind of what your pain points are. But really, it just allows me to hopefully foster a community that where people can kind of start to get to know one another a little bit more and just bounce ideas, that sort of thing, bounce ideas off of one another and stuff like that. So I'd love it if we could maybe, it's such a small group here in the first one that I think it would be helpful to even go around the room and introduce ourselves and maybe talk a little bit about just briefly talk about what your journey with doc filmmaking is, and then maybe you could also mention if you're working on a current project, share that with us as well. And Stephen Kaiser, why don't we just start with you, if you wouldn't mind, Stephen. That'd be great.
Yeah. Stephen Kaiser. I'm out of Centralia, Washington, halfway between Portland and Seattle. And I've been listening to the program for the last year and have been really inspired by Chris and all the guests. And I just, he offered the opportunity to, in the mastermind class. And I'm starting to work on a project in Alaska with a an alcoholic dog musher, and he lost everything through being an alcoholic, and he has gotten involved with recovery church movement, and he's now an ambassador up in Alaska, and he is starting churches up there to work with the alcoholics and drug addicted people up there. And it's quite an epidemic in Alaska, especially being rural areas. There isn't a lot of treatment programs. So he's on a mission to basically save as many as he can. So I've done a little project with him down here when he was in this area, and he called me up and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a short or semi feature, depending on how long we make it, but to feature the whole process, going through what he's doing, how he's starting it, the resistance, and then now that he has actually has one church up and going. Um, so that's the project I'm working on now. I've
Yep.
done some small stuff, just some shorts. I've done a lot of editing. I have, my own gear and a nice suite here. So I've played around for the number of years. I had a son in the music industry, and I did a lot of promotional videos for him, um, for his career. But kind of getting back into it later on in life now, so I have the time and the means to do it. So I'm excited about it. Excited to be part of the group and learning so much, man. It's amazing. So
Thanks, Stephen. I appreciate you sharing your a bit of it about your journey, and then the project that you're doing with Laughing Bear up in Alaska. Scott, I know that you man, the last time you and I were in contact, I think you were wrapping on a documentary project and maybe starting work on another one. What's can you share a little bit about your filmmaking journey and maybe what you've worked on or what you're currently working on?
Yeah, sure. So, I probably the project that you are thinking of, I am not wrapped on. It's sort of
Okay.
like, and I remember you talking about this with projects. We have sort of, irons in many fires. So I have one project that I've been working on sort of on and off for about 8 to 10 years. And that's probably the one I mentioned. That one I'm hoping, I really told myself I need to finish it this year to get on with my life and just kind of put that chapter behind me.
I'm
But
sh
it has
I'm
been a
sure that's
labor of love.
something that we all can relate to, that
Yeah.
feeling.
Well, yeah, and what's the phrase? Misery loves company. I mean, I embrace that idea because I do when I hear other people in similar situations, it definitely helps my attitude, my mood. But yeah, so I've been working on a project. It's about a court case that happened in San Diego back in the early 90s, and it was during that whole satanic panic era. And it was similar to the McMartin case, if you all familiar with that, but it was sort of San Diego's version, which is where am and where I'm from. Uh, our version of that story. So I'm try to, put a fresh perspective on it, a little bit more of the, not just the, the crimes itself or the alleged crimes, but also just the investigation of how things just kind of went haywire with this case and also during that period. And I'm an academic primarily. That's my day job, so to speak. So I don't do this full time by any means, but I do. It's my scholarly agenda, if you will. So I'm afforded the opportunity and tools to do that for the most part. And I do every 1 to 2 years other shorter projects as well. So I'm working on one that I'm hoping to finish up this year as well. And I think I covered everything you were asking for.
Scott, what has it been like in terms of getting access to footage from back in the 90s? What's that process been like for you?
It's been interesting. The defense attorney who has been a big, I don't know if collaborator is the right word because she hasn't really helped me tell the story, but she's been very supportive of me with her time, resources. She took a lot of VHS tapes that she had recorded during that period and gave them to me to use. So that has been very helpful. Probably the biggest source of help I can find. And she also took, like, would literally do the old cutout of the local newspaper and put the articles in, like scrapbooks or photo albums or
Scrapbook.
whatever. So the quality of some of it's not great, but I don't know. For me, I kind of like that raw, kind of authentic look that it's, frayed at the edges and that sort of thing. So it's been pretty good, but it's certainly been an education for me in terms of the legal aspects. So I've learned a lot that I didn't expect with release forms, with E&O insurance, with fair use, with now AI, which is another thing I'm working with. Luckily, here in San Diego, we have a legal outfit called New Media Rights, and they're very supportive of local indie filmmakers, and they provide discount legal services for people like me, and it's been really helpful. So, yeah, so it's been good. I've gotten a lot of support, but still, it's a grind.
Again, how long have you been working on the project?
That one, the big one, the feature length, I think I started in 2018.
Okay, cool. And can I ask, what is it that you feel like sort of, I guess, what's your biggest hurdle for completing the film at this point? What's keeping you from doing it?
Probably myself. I mean, honestly, just getting overwhelmed with all the, oh, can I use this? Do I need to get approval? Get it in the fair use thing. Oh, is the story good enough? Oh, what about the music? So it's sort of like I've got all the pieces of the puzzle, and it's just sort of like I need to just lock them in and kind of move on, which again, like I mentioned few moments ago, this really just sort of giving myself a hard deadline of this year. Um, and I won't say this year at all costs. I mean, obviously, if there's still something, especially like legal considerations that I'm not doing. So I mean, right now it's just like, listening to the documentary life, other groups, that sort of thing. Just whatever I can do to sort of kick myself in the butt and give me that motivation that I need. I think that's really the big thing. Because again, I think everything's pretty much there. I'm not as concerned about like, oh, I won't get the things, all my ducks in a row. It's just like
Hmm.
I got to just put my ducks in a row and go from there.
When you say everything is in place, at what process are you in post?
So
Like, do
I
you have a rough cut? Do you have a pretty good cut, or do you have a story
Yeah,
cut? Where are you?
yeah, I do. I have from beginning to end pretty much the story
Hmm.
there. I've got most all of the B-roll there. To get into the weeds here a little bit, I am just finessing the B-roll, but still looking at other options with AI now that there's so many different tools. And by the way, the interview with Philip Shane was great. And I took his boot camp um, a couple of years ago. So the whole AI thing, again, really good, but it's just a lot of overwhelming stuff.
I'm concerned with how many people listened to that interview because that
Yeah.
was not supposed to be released. That was not the episode that was supposed to go out. In fact, when you
Oh,
listen to it, it's not, I
yeah.
mean, it's edited, but it's only, my segment's not in there. There's no mid-roll. It's literally just the guest segment that was put out. And so it was
Hmm.
probably out for, I don't know, 24 hours or so. But I think what happened is if you
Oh.
have an automatic download, if you had downloaded it, then that's the one. But that's not the episode that is 144.
Oh, and I remember I think you sent
Yeah,
an email out about that. So I
I did
remember
the next
reading
day.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just listened to it on Apple Podcast and didn't think anything of it. But I do remember going online and looking up on the YouTube channel. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's not the same one. Who are these two
Yeah.
filmmakers on here? Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
bet.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't give it a lot of thought, but it did strike me as a little odd. But
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, well, mum's the word. I won't say anything else about it,
That's
but
fine. I mean, the reason why how I found out is a listener had written to me, and
mm,
they were really happy about the episode. I was like, wait a
oh,
minute,
that's
that's not
funny.
the episode that was supposed to go out, and it wasn't a full episode. It was the guest segment. So, anyhow,
Okay.
well, I'm glad it resonated with you.
Yeah, yeah. Philip's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
like I said, I took his little boot camp class on AI, and yeah, he's good stuff.
Was that through Desktop Documentaries?
Yeah, I think it was, if I
Cool.
remember
Yeah,
correctly. Yeah, yeah, it
that's
was about
great.
a year, I think 2 years ago I did it.
Yeah,
Uh,
fantastic.
but I think, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, look, people are all at different stages in their not only their filmmaking careers, but maybe in within their particular film project. And these films they can take a long time, and most often they take a considerably longer than you hope, than you anticipate.
Right.
I mean, it's, I'm sure we're preaching to the choir when we say this, but it goes without saying that the timeline that you set out to initially when you make your doc film is almost inevitably not the timeline that it ends up actually being to, from
Right.
tip to tail, ideation of your film to actually presenting it to the world is often two, three, four times what you thought it was
Mm,
going to be. So I would say, certainly don't be. Yeah, I think you're doing the right things by attending groups like this, by reading materials or listening to podcasts, and I can speak from, I can bring Stephen Kaiser, who's with us. He's part of the mastermind group, and Stephen was concerned with some unforeseen things have come up with his particular subject that's going to cause him to not be filming within a month's time, which is what he was hoping to be doing up in Alaska. That's going to be
mm,
pushed out significantly.
oh,
And those kinds of setbacks can definitely sort of stop us in our tracks and sometimes make us question if it's the right project. They can make us question on whether or not this is something that we really want to give our full time to, or whether we're the right people even to be telling a certain story. And so it's easy for us. I mean, look, doc filmmaking can be a pretty solitary existence. We're not working with, Loretta and I have worked in the film industry for years. Often you're working with much bigger crews than the reality is that you work with when you're making your own documentary filmmaking or your own
mm,
documentary film, which can be much more scaled back crews, sometimes even a crew of one person. So um, it can be a solitary existence. And if you're not continually talking with other doc filmmakers, yeah, you can feel pretty alone on your project, and we can get in our heads pretty easily. My point with Steven's story is this past weekend, instead of sort of getting in his head and getting down about the fact that the production part of his film is not going to be happening for a few months now. Um, he spent his time this weekend working on something very specific with his film, which was redoing his treatment entirely. And it was something he
mm,
shared with the group. And I was very surprised when he showed up with the group with a brand new treatment for the film. It
mm,
was not expected. So continuing to feed the fire in whatever way that is really important. That all being said, Scott, I want to encourage you. It sounds like you are pretty far along the post production process, or you feel like you have the pieces you need. Don't overthink it, man. Don't keep questioning if you have the perfect story arc. Don't keep questioning if you have all of the pieces in place. Give yourself, if possible, give yourself a hard deadline of when you present the film as a rough cut to a group of an audience, an audience.
mm,
So say 2 months from now, say and this is just example, say October 27th, I'm going to put together a handful of colleagues and a few other people that can sit down and watch the film and give me constructive criticism. Otherwise, I find that I keep doing the rough cut over and over and over. And that's not the purpose of a rough cut. The purpose of a rough cut is to have a story cut in place that you can sit down in front of a group of other like-minded individuals who can give you constructive feedback. So then that can propel you to the next stage of the cut, maybe closer to a fine cut. Otherwise, it's easy to do a rough cut over and over and over again.
Thanks. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Too much is probably a really good deadline. So I
Yeah,
will heed that. So yeah, I'll get it out. I
think
may even
about
send
doing
it to
that.
you.
Cool.
Okay, that sounds great. I appreciate
All
it,
right.
Chris.
Of course, Scott. Loretta, would you mind sharing a little bit more about, I know you shared a little bit of more, you shared some of your filmmaking experience and then working in the Bay Area. In terms of documentary, Loretta, can you share some of your doc filmmaking experience, maybe outside of sound? Like, are you working on a project yourself right now at all?
Yeah, well, just to a shout out to Scott in San Diego. I grew up in San Diego.
Oh,
And so
nice.
actually my first doc experience was I in high school I started volunteering at KPBS, and
Oh,
I started getting I got myself into production and on in the film production angle, and that was my first documentaries were there at KPBS.
oh
So
wow. Nice.
that's how I got into it.
Oh, cool. Small world.
Yeah. So first time I ever got thanked on local Emmys and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, um so yeah, spent a lifetime as a production sound recordist, and but dabbled in other, corporate and feature and whatnot, but and a lot of the corporate was bread and butter, but it's like kind of like a pie of having or a diversified portfolio, because one part of the industry may be e- doing better than another.
Or a little more
Or,
lucrative. It
or
so
yeah,
supports us a little bit more.
right, right. And so and that's never been more true than now. In fact, I think I just heard of there's a study that was recently done of how little documentarians are making now. Like you really need a side gig, or your day job of academia is an excellent thing.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
but I mean, the tricky part is having the energy to complete something else or get something else going. It's hard to, pedal in more than one direction, with any momentum, because it's the momentum part that, you know, is hard. So, um, I um I did a feature doc, it was an hour long, about a filmmaker, character, a friend of mine. I finished in 22, and that premiered at the Frameline Film Festival here. And but he was a local character, and I thought because of he's an aging person, about what he's a longtime HIV survivor. I thought it might have a little broader appeal, but it didn't do so well festival wise. And you know just timing may not have been the right sort of content for that at the time. But I sort of pulled it back. I didn't put it on YouTube. Some people put their stuff on YouTube, and I don't want to do it. I feel like there's still more life in that. It's kind of an evergreen uh, portrait of him, and I'm exploring kinema, or something like that as alternative distribution sort of things to sort of see if there's more life to be had in it. So, and with changes at Vimeo and things like that. So, I've just finished a half hour, 28-minute doc, another portrait of an older person, a badass photographer who she was from the UK, but she's been here in the States for decades, and she's a real badass person. She has a nonprofit, for vet care for homeless and low income people.
Oh, wow.
Um, that she's wanting to step away from because she's 70 something now. So, but she got this late life recognition of her early photography from the Tate Museum in Britain, and they've bought several of her pieces now. So it's kind of a cool full circle thing. Um, and we just premiered at the San Francisco Jewish Film Festival. Her family is Jewish. She doesn't really practice at all, so it's sort of
Mhm.
tangential connection there. But we had a sold out show. It was really with four other three other docs, um, some vets here, and that was cool. And then it's sort of like, now what? So I'm submitting to other festivals, but that also comes with rejections, and trying to keep your momentum going is because basically nowadays, as far as distribution goes, you kind of have to, it's pretty much most people, it's do it yourself for a
Right.
project like this, and I am not a self-starter. I always appreciate collaborative uh energies. And so um unfortunately my fiscal sponsor is Filmmakers Collaborative SF, and Kevin White there, he's great. He has these monthly drop-ins on different subjects that it's very helpful to chat with like-minded folks. And so that's why when I saw this, I thought, oh, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and especially folks in other regions, and and whatnot. So yeah, and because it's a challenging time to try to have there be any revenue from these projects,
Right.
I'm everybody's trying to figure it out and how to make that happen. And yes, I want eyeballs, but I would like to make some money back. So so something like Kinema, we will have a community screening for free outside somewhere for Jill's clients. Uh, um, Her name is Jill Posner, and
Okay.
the name of the film is called Born Kicking. So
Born kicking.
yeah, and
Cool.
so trying to be a real self-generating person with energy,
Yeah.
and creating community and eyeballs, I mean, there are plenty of constituencies for the project to foster. Um, and, I've been, and like I say, everybody's trying to figure that out right now. But, whether it's, I'm going to start looking at AARP and photography consist constituencies and animal welfare constituencies. And, there are homeless people in it, but it's not about homelessness exactly, but so anyway, it's an interesting time.
Scott, I saw you raised your hand. There is no raising hands here. We should all just speak when we need to speak, by all means. If you have
All
something to
right,
say,
well,
please
appreciate
share
it.
it.
Yeah, I was just curious, Loretta, what is kinema? I don't know if I've
Oh
heard
yeah.
of that before.
So it's a platform. So I'm not sure if you're aware, Vimeo has ceased, their video on demand thing. They're changing their model somewhat. So,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily secure. Um, so Kinema, starting with a K, is a subscription platform for both filmmakers and viewers.
Yeah.
And it looks to me, I haven't heard a lot yet about it, but it looks to be promising in terms of it being very versatile in terms of the way it can be used. It can be used for basically ticket sales, um, on demand sort of things, like, or for events like alternative spaces. Like if you were screening in different spaces, you could potentially
Hmm.
use it for that. Or
Hmm.
um, so I haven't fully decided that's it, but it looks promising to me. But because there's sort of a needle in haystack problem for a lot of us doc folks of finding our viewers
Yeah.
in a platform like that, or any platform. I mean, if you if you were if you got yourself on Netflix somehow, how would people find your movie? You know,
Mm,
Yeah,
um,
right. Even if
so
you found yourself on Netflix, how do people, what's the,
right. So basically, and because the algorithms are all in controlled by the oligarchs right now,
yeah,
trying to figure out alternative channels for ourselves, networking and finding like common interests of people and that kind of thing, so that
yeah,
to pool make ourselves easier to find for viewers that we
yeah,
may have common constituencies or something. So, or just, to be findable, right? And
mm,
so there's Seed and Spark is a group that has, there's sort of a, again, sort of a mutual aid sort of subscription thing, but they've tried to pull together with, I mean, people are trying to sort of get together in different ways to pool resources um and where should we put our energies to make
mm.
some of these channels happen. So I don't know what the answer is, but there's a lot of exploration in that right now. So I'm curious to see where it goes. But
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that
I am
helps.
too. Thank you, Loretta. We had So Seed and Spark kind of was doing this a little bit earlier on. I don't know. I don't know where they're at currently with sort of that model. Um, but yeah, it does seem like a number of people were kind of looking into this sort of model to try to get away from, like, essentially to have a platform for doc filmmakers like ourselves, independent doc filmmakers who no longer I mean, who no longer can have our films necessarily on Amazon. And we know how difficult it can be to get on Netflix. And then, as you said, Loretta, once we're even on there, um, does the algorithm allow for a film to even to come up in a search, right? Um, yeah, so I wonder if it would be interesting to speak with someone from Kinema to have a better understanding. I think I might like to do that, to have a better understanding what they're about and how they can benefit the independent filmmaker. That's a great idea. Thanks for bringing
Sounds
that
like a
up.
future guest on the
It
podcast.
does.
there you go.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
think,
it
in fact,
does.
I think I may have seen a discussion somewhere, like someone from Seed and Spark was actually talking about maybe partnering with them, or
Right,
so
right.
new kinds of partnerships, to make it happen, because
Yeah,
there was a golden set of years where people could, hope for a streaming contract or something, and nowadays that doesn't unless you're true crime or some big celebrity thing, that's not
yes.
it's not a thing. And
And that
there's,
seems to be happening with podcasts as well, by the way.
oh yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, this was meant to be an announcement that TDL is actually becoming a true crime podcast. Actually, TDL is becoming a true crime documentary podcast only. God,
You need a theme song.
yeah.
Ah,
Oh boy.
You need an attention
Uh,
field theme song.
yeah, listeners would double overnight. That's the sad fact of that.
Aw.
Terrible, right? Yeah.
Well,
Well,
people
yeah,
always want human stories, right? Like Steve's
yeah,
story, I mean, I was born in Alaska. You don't see many um, films, content about Alaska and
right.
particularly mushers, because it's hard to have cameras on a dog sled trail.
I did not know that. I did not know the term mushers until Stephen had until Stephen, quite frankly. But when he was discussing introducing you guys to his project, I saw your eyes light up, Loretta, of recognition. I was like, oh, she must know what mushers are. I did not know what that was. Yeah, very interesting word. Um, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys joining me today in this first TDL conversation. I do want to continue doing this monthly. I'd love to have you guys join us again. And hopefully we can get the word out a little bit more and have some more filmmakers show up and broaden the community as much as possible. So yeah, I guess I want to thank you guys for attending this first one and for sharing your projects. Appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Chris.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
You put it together.
Of course, of
Well,
course.
it's true that as you said, that it can be isolating, even if we have a team.
Yeah,
There's it's so much, it is self-generating, and there's so much room for self-doubt, and is this worth doing? And because
right.
the challenges are always there, of our subjects are going through things, and our families are going through things, and you know my feature I did on Mark Hustis, that was called Impresario. And,
Mm.
you know, there was a point where his brother died, my brother died, his mother died, my mother died.
Life happens,
It was
and
like,
death.
and this life happens, and to try to keep keeping on is,
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff.
And that's a big, that's it's a good I'm glad you brought that up, Loretta, because I try to with the overall conversations and discussions that we're having on the podcast and in a group like this, I think it's important. I've set out from the beginning, and I'm making even more of an effort now, that the podcast is not, you know, of course, half of the conversation might be about the specific areas of documentary filmmaking, right? Production, post-production, sound, editing. But it's important. So the technical aspects and the logistics of doc filmmaking. But it's important to me that I'm having discussions and conversations that are broader than that. What does it mean to live the life of a creative, in our case, doc filmmakers? Because it's a discussion that, look, let's be honest, anybody can YouTube, if they have a question about a camera or they have a question about an editing process. It's easy to look up a tutorial on YouTube. But the broader, and I think more important and resonating to conversations about, mental health in the doc community, what it means to be working on your own, what it means to be having to come up with finances, what it means to be raising families, what it means to be maybe having a partner who is also creative. These are conversations that I want to be having a bit more and more, because those are sort of the real, that's sort of the life component to the documentary life. And I think those are every bit as important as the how to make a documentary film aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much
agreed.
for joining me. It's funny speaking to the entire crowd, other than myself, are West Coast US based right now.
I thought
So
about that already. I was going to
wow,
say something. Yeah, we're
that's
all in
so
the West
wild.
versus you,
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and you're a
yeah.
that
day
says
ahead
a
of us,
lot,
right?
though. That says a lot about the people, where the people are that I gravitate towards in the US. Let's just say that. All right. You guys have a great, I guess, rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Nice meeting you
Take care,
both.
Nice
Loretta,
meeting you
Scott,
guys.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
All right,
All
take
right, bye bye.
care.
You
Bye,
too.
guys.